Hello, and welcome to the next installment of the Undulation book read-along. My name is Anita Boser. I'm the author of Undulation, Relief, Stiffness and Feel Young. And in this series of videos, I'm going through each segment of the book, not necessarily reading it word for word, because you can do that yourself, but giving you some of the information that went into creating each chapter of the book. And this year, right now, we are on this section of the Fountain of Youth. This is one of the chapters where I explain why I created Undulation and how I think you can get the most out of it. One of my inspirations for Undulation, I had several movement teachers, people who were older, but they moved so fluidly. And one of the people that influenced me the most is Emilie Conrad. She is the founder of Continuum Movement. And when I met her, she was in her 70s. She moved as gracefully as anybody I had ever seen. And the photo that I have of her in the book shows her on a piece of exercise equipment. She's kind of upside down, which I can show you, but what I found instead is I found a video. And since we're doing this series, I can show you the video. So I'm going to share the screen and show you a couple minutes of Emilie Conrad on this piece of equipment. And it's very similar to the photo that's in my book. So let's take a look at this. See if I can do the technology. So here, let's see, we're going to come back to it. Here's the photo of her in the book. You see she's upside down. And then here is a similar situation. She's just getting onto the machine, and there's a minute and a half of some really good information. So 73 years old in this picture, in this video, and she has no trouble moving whatsoever. I think that's just a very profound point, is the way we accept things for the way they are. One of our thoughts as we grow older is that we're automatically going to be stiffer or more limited in our movements. And some of that might be true physically, but a lot of it is more true mentally. If we come up with the idea that as we get older, we can keep our fluidity, if we can keep our ease of motion, and then we spend a little bit of time making that happen, I think we'll all be more comfortable as we get older. One of the photos, let's see if I do this correctly here. I have to share my screen first, share, and then show you this. So there's Emilie. A friend of mine drew this wonderful picture here of, let's make it bigger, of how I see the life cycle when we're kids, when we're babies, Maybe we can't do everything an adult can do, but we can move a lot. And we start to try to do more things. We learn to walk, well, crawl first and then walk, and then maybe run and jump, swing. And our bodies don't have any limitations other than being children, just not being grown up. We learn how to play sports. Some of us not so good, like me. I was never great at sports. But over time, we do more things with our body, and then we start doing less, fewer and fewer things, represented by sitting. I heard sitting is the new cancer. So keep that in mind. Maybe I should be standing up and moving around as I'm doing this presentation here. But keeping as much movement as our bodies as we can. I made a list in the book as well. Things that we did when we were kids. We danced, we squatted, we kicked. When was the last time we just made kicking motions with our legs? Definitely the sorts of things that will keep our legs limber. Shaking our hips, reaching up high. You know, sometimes we do this, but a lot of times we stop. When we were kids, it was fun. When was the last time we twirled around or got on a swing? I actually had a client last week who told me that she got on the swings, and I was so impressed. I wish we had adult swing sets everywhere. But even going back and doing some of the things we did as we were kids, crawling, just crawling around on the floor, that creates a lot of motion in the hips and the spine. So lots of things we could do to be more nimble. And I encourage us to do it. And what I was trying to do in writing my book was to help people get from here, being kids and doing all these things that hopefully were fun, but they were easy in our body, to getting to where we're 73 and able to do whatever we want with our body. What does it take in between? And it takes a lot of flexible movement. When I came home from the Continuum workshop with Emilie Conrad, I wanted to show people how wonderful things could be, how you could just get into this free-form movement. But most of the people that I met with weren't ready to go from sitting in a chair 8 hours a day to wriggling around on the floor, much less a piece of exercise equipment. So where was the in-between? And that's where I came up with the undulation exercises and how I started inventing little exercises to get a little bit more movement here and there. Another thing I'd like to show you is I'd like to show you another one of my role models. Her name is Aleili. She was my belly dance, or is my belly dance teacher as well. And she was kind enough to be the cover model for my book. And so I'm assuming you've seen it. Many of you have my book, but here we go. We see the front of the book a lot. I guess I could just be showing it to you here. Couldn't I? But I think it's nicer on the screen. But here she is, just in her free-form motion. But on the back cover, there are these great photos of her showing that she can move her spine in any direction. Now, granted, she isn't as old as Emilie. She's younger. And like Emilie, who is a modern dancer, she's a dancer as well. But this is something for all of us to be able to aspire to, being able to move our spine anyway, because if we can move our spine, then the rest of our body can follow. Being able to move from one side to another, being able to reach up high and bend, being able to back bend as well. Trying to keep all of those movements free in our body. And I think that movement is our fountain of youth, more than any pill. There you go. More than any supplement we can take, not saying that supplements are bad. Eating well, sleeping well, those are all important. But moving in a way like we did when we were younger is a way to get the fluid flow. It's actually a way to get nutrients into our cells and flushing the waste products out of our cells. Our body depends on movement. And not just the, I'm going to exercise and pump iron. Nothing wrong with that. We need to stay strong as well. But we want to keep more fluid movement, adding to our variety of movement. So in 2 weeks, on December 3rd, we are going to go through to the next chapter, which is to counteract aging. So we'll be going through the undulations for that. And 2 weeks after that, on December 17th, we're going to go through the undulations to improve better posture. I hope you will join me. And in the meantime, continue to develop. Now I'm going to read a little bit from the book. The flow generated from inside the body creates amazing strength and flexibility, and it's best accessed when you can let go of the need to consciously control movement. Partway through an undulation, you'll suddenly become aware of just where your body is and think, wow, I wouldn't have believed I could do this. So just like Emilie, like we saw her, she wasn't planning that motion. She was letting her body move itself. And she's probably used to it, right? Being able to. But when I undulate and I just let my body lead, I get to a place that's like, if I had tried to get here, I wouldn't have been able to. But by moving through the fluid flow, letting the body develop its own movement in free-form undulations, you'll really be able to get your body to a place that it couldn't in any other way. So I hope you try to undulate every day, or as I say, sway every day. And I hope to see you back here in a couple of weeks. If you want to participate live, just send me a message so I can send you the link.